Hello and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio. Today is Wednesday, July 14th, and the year is 2021. This is a YouTube live streaming event. Whether this is your first time visiting my channel or you are here returning, I am so glad that you are with me. Thank you for joining me. We have going to do some card making tonight that involves a center step card. I had to look at my notes because the words are a little bit tricky. But we're going to create a card that's going to have a split front to give you a view to the inside. Lots of fun. And keep in mind that when tonight's live stream is over, the replay will be available for you. So that's going to allow you to come back and work right alongside me at home at your own pace. Now, a couple things before we get started that are housekeeping items. First is you're going to want to hang with me to the very end of tonight's live stream because I have 6 other cards to share with you, 3 of which are fun folds. And tonight, you're going to be able to find a link down in the video description below when tonight's live stream is over. There, you're going to find this, which is the project sheet for tonight's project. Not only do I have all the pictures and the cutting dimensions for you, you're going to find a very extensive template for this card. I'm looking down so I can show you the page. It's going to give you all the cutting and scoring dimensions to make it super easy for you to recreate this at home. Again, that is not going to be available until the live stream is over. A couple other things I want to go over with you. First, if we would love to be able to chat with you. So you're going to need to log into your YouTube account, which is your Gmail address. That is a requirement of YouTube and not of Lisa's Stamp Studio. We come back and read every single comment, whether you are here in the live chat or you are actually leaving a comment on the replay. We would love to hear from you. And then finally, I would like to introduce you to Gina Hawley. You'll see Gina's name here in blue. If you are watching the replay, the chat is off to the side. Gina is our YouTube moderator. She's also my daughter. You might notice the surname is the same as mine. She works as the sales and marketing director here at Lisa's Stamp Studio. She has been stamping all her life, and she is more than capable of answering your questions. And she's here also to provide you with some links on things you might need to know, because quite frankly, it is impossible to keep up with your comments during the live stream. I think all the housekeeping stuff is out of the way. Let's go ahead and let's get started. I'm going to turn the camera down. I know that you're going to enjoy tonight's card, and I'm hoping that you're going to glean a lot from the tips I'm going to share. Let me just get you situated here. Do me a favor if you would. Hit that thumbs up button here on YouTube. That helps us immensely with YouTube. It helps us to keep content free. And if you would, share it with your crafting friends. You could put it on Pinterest, put it on social media, but we would love, love, love that. Sure helps us. I want to remind you about the Designer Series paper sale that is going on right now. It's 15% off almost every single paper that's inside the catalog. There are a few exceptions, but for the vast majority, this is going to apply. This discount is equivalent to free shipping and a little sales tax, depending on where you live. And guess what? You see this paper right here? We're going to use it tonight, and that is why I'm pointing out and reminding you of the sale. It is good until August 2nd. All right, let me set that off to the side, and let's go ahead and start with our trimmer. My trimmer is the Stampin' Up! Trimmer. It includes both the scoring and the cutting blades. Super important for tonight's project because we're going to be using both. They navigate up and down on the way, which means you can leave them here on the clear track at the same time. Again, another important feature for tonight. So you don't have to worry about taking these in and out. That clear cutting guide is going to allow you to cut on both sides of this trimmer. This goes up to 1.5 inch on this side, and of course, well past the 6-inch mark here, which we're going to use as well. There's a protective coating on here, so you don't have to worry about this rubbing off. There are nice straight edges here at the top and on the bottom. Now I'm pointing all this out because this trimmer is going to play big duty tonight. And because these blades navigate, I'm going to make sure both of them are at the top for tonight's card. Now I'm going to be starting by doing the card base itself. Now, as you might have recalled in the very big introduction that we just did here on the live, I have created you a template. That is going to be down in the project sheet below the title of this video when the stream is over. It is not there yet. This is cut 4¼ by 11. Nothing fancy about the size, very standard card size. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn it vertically. So this is the 11-inch side. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up the trimmer, and we're going to work here at the 1-inch mark on the right-hand side of the clear cutting guide. That's going to ensure that you've got some paper to hold to make this easier for you. So I'm going to line this up against that straight edge. I'm lining it up at the 1 inch mark. Now you're going to see my index finger is going to come here. And the reason is that we are going to cut from a specific number on this guide down to create an interior slit. Now, I know that may sound kind of confusing, but it's not. Just hang with me. Now, I know it's difficult for you to see, but there are printed in black measurements along this guide. The great thing about this trimming blade is there's a little line that goes all the way across it to make an indication on where that number is. So that's really easy for you to reline it. So again, making sure this is here at the 1 inch mark here along the side. I'm going to line that up. I am going to start my blade at the 1 inch mark here on the guide. And again, I know that's going to be difficult to see, so just hang with me. And we are going to line that up and we're going to close that door. And we are literally going to slice down to the 6.5 inch mark, which is all the way down about here. Might just be a hair outside your camera view. I'm going to lift that. And you're going to see that that slit now is in the interior of the cardstock. I'm going to pull this out and I'm flipping it over. So now this is the clean side. This is our cut side. We're going to repeat that process. So I'm going to move that blade all the way up to the top. I'm going to line this up again at the 1 inch mark. My index finger is underneath the guide so the blade doesn't take the paper. And I'm going to line this up at the 1 inch mark. Again, there's a mark right across here that's very definitive on the trimmer. It's going to be really easy for you to see. And then I'm going to close that door and I'm going to slide from there to the 6.5 inch mark once again. And again, these are really easy to see in person, really tough on the camera, especially with the studio lighting. Now we're going to open this up. And I'm going to take that blade and I'm pushing it all the way down to the bottom because all the cutting is done. Now you're going to see that we have 2 slits, one on each side. Now the next step is to do some scoring. We're going to start here at that shallower end because you're going to see that this is wider where the slits stop. We're going to slide that in and we're going to start here on the 1 inch side on this side. And the reason we're doing that is it's going to give you more cardstock here to hold with your hand. So at the 1 inch mark, I want to talk you through this first. You are going to score from the slit to the end, from the slit to the end. We're omitting the center panel. Remember, we're making a center step card. So that's really important. So what I like to do is I like to bring my little blade down to that 1 inch mark because I know that's where that cut line was, or you can start at the top and drag down to it, whatever works for you. And I'm just scoring. This is my scoring blade. And then what I'm going to do is I'm not pressing. So I'm just navigating the blade down. And now I'm going to press from here down to here. This is the beauty of this trimmer. So I know it's going to be difficult to see, but there are score lines here and here. We are now going to move up to the 2 inch line and we are going to do the exact same thing. So let me show you. We're going to come all the way up to the top. The paper is nice and flush here against the edge. We are going to score to that slit, which is the 1 inch. Then I'm just lightly traveling that scoring blade down to here where the slit is, and then we are going to score again. I'm going to show this to you so that you can see it. So you're going to see there's score lines here and score lines here. All right, nice and easy so far. We're going to slide all the way over now to the 5.5 inch mark. This is where I want the score line to be in the interior of the card because that's the halfway point. Do not attempt to do that first. You have to have these cuts first. I've learned the hard way. So at 5.5 inches here on my trimmer, I've got my finger here underneath the blade to position it. I am lining up the scoring blade at that slit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it in the center from slit to slit. Nice and simple, okay? So now what we have is we have our one set of score lines here, and then there's an interior one. There's one left. Because it's a little bit longer here on the trimmer, I'm going to open up the extension arm. And this is another reason why I love this trimmer. It's compact to be able to store, but it goes up to 17 inches. We're going to leave that here on the work surface. I'm going to take my cardstock now, and I am going to align this at the 6.5 inch mark. So let me go ahead and just line that up. And what we're going to do, I want to make sure I'm inside your camera view, inside the 6.5 inch mark. And all we're going to do now is we're going to connect from the slit to the outside, from the slit to the outside, just like we did here. So we're creating panels. So I'm going to line this up at my score line and I'm scoring out, and then I'm lightly navigating, not pressing, and then doing the same thing here at the bottom. This scoring blade is fantastic. It can travel here without scoring. It only scores when you press and push. Wonderful, wonderful product. All right, so let me just take that off to the side, get that out of our camera view. And what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about putting this card together. Now, let me zoom you in just a little bit further, and I'm going to show you how the folds work. Remember that this here is the top. Those were those last two lines we made. This is actually the center of the card, so I'm pinching it. So far, so good. Here at the bottom, what you're going to do is you're going to pinch these down. So it makes like a little step. And remember, there was another 1-inch mark here, and those are going to get pinched up. So we have what's called a mountain fold and a valley fold. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to press this right here on our work surface. And believe it or not, that is all that it's comprised of the center step card. What I like to do is I like to take my bone folder and I want to go over it with those creases. I want to make sure that my fun fold stays nice and secure. The more you reinforce these, the better your card's going to stand up. Okay, now let's talk about decorating. The great thing about the project sheet that I have for you tonight is all the cutting dimensions for the pieces are included there as well. That's going to make life a lot easier for you. Let's set that aside for just a moment and let's come over to some pieces. I've got a piece of designer series paper here that I absolutely love. And remember, I told you that designer series paper is on sale and it's double-sided, which is going to give you lots and lots of options. This is a pattern you can use all year round. Stampin' Up! Does a fantastic job with this of their designer series paper. One side is themed, the other side is not, so you can use it for all kinds of cards throughout the year. It's really, really a great way to expound on your purchase. As I said in the beginning, make sure you hang with me to the end because I have 6 other cards to share with you. 3 of those are fun folds. I've just gone ahead and added my adhesive to the back side. I love the Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm looking to mimic that on my black cardstock. Let's go ahead and push that off to the side for a moment. And then I've got 2 other strips here. This is all from that same designer series paper stack. Lots and lots of fun. And then we're going to add some adhesive to that. I am using my silicone craft sheet. I absolutely love this product because adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. Because of the silicone surface, if it gets on there, you can rub it right off, which means I don't have to worry about making my work surface sticky. This is going to be a very narrow margin. And for me, the best way to do this is to kind of hover over it with my fingers on both ends just to try to make it as even as possible. None of us are perfect. And then we'll just press that down. So I've got one, and I did another one before you joined me right ahead of time. So those 2 are all finished. Now we're going to push this to the side for just a moment. And now let's do some stamping. So I've got some white cardstock here, and then we're going to do some images. I'm going to bring in the cinnamon cider ink pad, open that up, and I'm pulling out from a wonderful stamp set this gorgeous pot. Now let me show this to you. This is called Plentiful Plants. I have fallen in love with this, and I have to say I think it's probably my favorite in the annual catalog. It pairs so well with so many stamp sets, and it works great for masculine cards, which is something I struggle with. It makes every type of card you can think of, from sympathy to get well to birthday to thinking of you, welcome to the neighborhood, and scrapbook pages. So this greenery can all be paired with other things. It is also offered as a bundle with coordinating dies that are called the perfect plants. Trust me, you're going to want to buy it as a bundle. Not only will you save 10% because you get both, but you're going to want to have these dies. These dies will die cut even some of the designer series papers, which I'm going to share with you on the other cards in just a few minutes. All right, so let's go ahead and ink that up in the cinnamon cider, and I'm going to stamp that here, and you're going to say, wow, the second I lift this. Look at the detail of this stamp. This is the beauty of Stampin' Up! Products. This is what they call their distinctive stamps, which means they are made specifically to have texture in them, to look more like photographs than stamped images. Now I'm going to move over to the garden green ink pad next. And of course, that stamp's got a bunch of little great greenery pieces. Here's our string of pearls, and I'm going to ink that up in the garden green. And I'm going to stamp that one here. And I'm taking that off camera, and I'm bringing in the snake plant. These are wildly popular right now. And I'm going to stamp that one right about here. Great news, all of these have dies, which are going to make your life super duper easy. Now that's all the stamping I'm actually going to do at the moment, but let's talk about the die cutting. I'm going to bring in several other pieces of scrap cardstock. I've got some black and I've got some just jade. Variations of green are going to help make your arrangements look real. Let's also bring in this. This is your clear cutting mat to your cutting machine. Now, I'm using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I absolutely love, but you have a clear mat that you're using in your die cutting machine as well. Because there are dies for all the pieces, we're going to be able to do this in one shot. Let's watch. So we're going to put our paper on top of here, and we're just going to kind of line it up. And I've got all my pieces. Now I've already pulled out some of the dies. So we've got one for that string of pearls. We've got one here for the pot. We've got our little sprig, aloe vera probably is what I'm thinking it is. That's going to go here. We've got one for the snake plants, and that black cardstock, look at this. Is this not incredible? Wait till you see it die cut. That is going to go here on the black cardstock. I love that I can do one pass on my die cutting machine. Now, you might be thinking these are all going to slip, and the answer is yes. So let me talk to you about my Post-it tape. I absolutely love this tape. I actually have a bunch of products that are not Stampin' Up products. They're like just crafting supplies that I use here in the studio to complement my Stampin' Up products. If you're looking for these, they're on my website at lisastampstudio.com under Shop Craft Room Favorites. I like to take this tape and I'm just going to rip it up into smaller pieces. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to anchor this down. I have used washi tape without really good success long term. But I love this for this because I have found that it sticks well. It doesn't mar my paper. And guess what? I can pass this through my die cutting machine just like this, anchored down at least 5 or 6 times and reuse that tape over and over and over again. That makes this super affordable and it's going to make your die cutting super duper easy. Now, once all the die cutting has been done in your die cutting machine, let me just move those out of your camera view. I'm putting those in my little Titan magnetic tray because I can't live without that thing. This tray is fantastic. It's also in one of my craft room favorites. I love it because I was forever losing those small die cut pieces, and now I don't. I just keep one by my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and another here on my work surface, and I can kind of go back and forth, and I've got all my pieces nearby. Just wanted to share that with you as well. So here are the pieces already die cut. I did that just ahead of time so we didn't have to drag the machine in while we were together. Let's talk about making our arrangement first. That's really, really important. I find that if you make the arrangement before you put it on the actual card, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So let's start with the pot itself. And I'm going to flip that over here on my silicone craft sheet. And I'm going to work fairly close to this edge here. That means that if I go off the edge, I don't have to worry about a sticky spot on my paper. So I'm going to add a little adhesive here. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little die cut sprig or aloe vera, whatever we're going to call it. And I'm going to work over here on the right-hand side. And I'm going to tack that in place. That's being held by that strip of adhesive. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with my string of pearls, and I am going to place that behind it. I'm going to leave a little bit sticking up across the back so you can kind of see it. And there should be enough adhesive on those ends to tack that in place. Those of you that are worried this is going to fall apart, don't worry because we've got a lot more adhesive we're going to be placing on here. Now I do have one more plant to add, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of adhesive here on this side for that. Look at my Stampin' Seal Plus is super duper strong. And if you've ever used this, you know what a wonderful product it is, but you got to be careful that you're dispensing it in the right area. Here's my snake plant. I am going to place this right behind here. You're not going to want to go too high because of the macrame hanger, which we're also going to attach. Let's go ahead and just add that here. I'm just lightly tacking it to make sure that it's stuck. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to take the macrame hanger and we're going to hold it over the top before we adhere it. If you get ahead of yourself, this is going to be too high and it's going to be impeding. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to adhere this because some of you might be looking at this thinking, egads. Super easy, and I've got another craft room favorite I want to share with you. I love the multi-purpose liquid glue because it's strong and it dries fairly quickly, but I am super messy with glue. So if you ever watch my videos, as much as the green glue has its place in the studio, it's difficult to use. And the tip is not precision enough for very tiny things like that. So let me tell you what I did. I found these. They're in my craft room favorites. I put them there for you as well. I squeezed all the glue into this precision tip bottle. I love the silicone cap on this. It has not dried out any glue. It works like a charm. I am going to give this a good vigorous couple shakes just to get the glue down to the tip. And I always like to get my liquid glue started here on my silicone craft sheet because I want to make sure that it's flowing well and I don't have a surprise bubble. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip that die over and we're going to add a little tiny bit of glue to those inconspicuous bigger areas. And you can see how tiny this tip is, and it's going to make gluing so easy. I'll tell you what, as much as I don't like liquid glue because I'm messy with it, this has kind of revolutionized me in the last couple weeks, and I had to share this with you. Fantastic, fantastic product, and it's great for these little intricate things. Now, the other thing you can do, and I'm going to kind of wipe this off and put that back on the top, is you're going to find that adhesive sheets, which you might want to use, are not going to work really well for this, and I'm going to explain to you why in just a minute. The top half of this hanger is not going to need adhesive. So if you had put adhesive sheets on here, it's going to be sticky everywhere, which is really not going to work for what we're trying to do. I'm going to hold that there in place. Just give that a couple seconds. I put a little glue here as well to hold it. And there we go. Look, our whole hanger is already made. Make your arrangement first. If you had put adhesive sheets here, it's going to be sticky here and here where we don't need it. Let me push that off to the side for just a moment. And let's go back to that card base that we created, that center step card. Now let's go ahead and take our panels and let's decorate it. This panel is going to go here in the center. So I'm going to flip that over. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add adhesive here to the back side. As I said to you before, the Stampin' Seal Plus is very, very strong. It does come out in little tiny tabs. So if I get a little excited, I can kind of just fold it under. And it allows me to be able to place adhesive in tiny sections. My best advice for you, because this is all the same color, is to open up your card base flat so that you can see where the score lines begin and end, and you can align this the very best you can within that center step area. And then I'm just going to give that a quick look before I press it down, and that looks good. Now you'll recall we have these angles here for the edges. Let's go ahead and add those. So I've got one here, here, and here. And like I said, this is super, super strong, so I don't have to add a super lot. And then I'm going to open this up, and I'm working between the score lines here. Remember, this is that 1 inch that was indented to make that little step. And that is going to go here. And I'm looking to align it top, bottom, side to side the very best that I can. And then we'll press that down. And then we have one other. Let's go ahead and let's turn that over as well. And we're going to add our adhesive here. This one now is going to go on this side. And again, I'm just looking to mimic the sides and the top the best I can. Now, I want to give you another tip. I've made lots of these in the last couple weeks. And the one thing that I have come to learn is I wanted this panel to look like it matches up. And you can see how this one's a little bit too low. So before I go crazy sticking this down, I can go ahead and just kind of maneuver this up just a little bit to make sure that it's going to look even when I go ahead and close this card. So let's go ahead and try that again. And then I'm going to fold that. And yep, and that looks a whole lot better. And then I'm just going to press that in place. All right, now that our panels are down, let's go ahead and add that beautiful hanger with those plants. I'm going to come back to that silicone craft sheet. And you'll recall there's very little adhesive there. So we're going to help tack that down. And this is where your dimensionals come into play. These are pre-cut pieces of foam tape. And of course, my fingers are like sticky, and I want to make sure I pick those up. You're going to use these to your advantage. You're going to anchor those down where these pieces meet to secure them together, because we know we just add a little bit of adhesive here. Now, the dimensionals are wonderful for this in areas that are large enough, and I am very cognizant of where I place them. I want to make sure that my card comes out not lopsided in the mail, so I use those generously. These mini dimensionals are fantastic for these little tiny spots right here where those bigger dimensionals wouldn't fit. And again, I'm going to be generous because I want to make sure that this is going to hold up well. This Take Your Pick tool, not only does it help pick up those small pieces with that putty tip, there are interchangeable tips that go on top of here. And this is the paper piercing tool attachment, and that helps me remove those paper backings. I have basal joint arthritis in my hands, which is between my thumb and wrist and index finger, and it is tough to pull off those little tiny pieces nowadays. So this tool saves my life, and it also helps wrangle all those pieces together. This is going to go right here, smack dab in the center. But I want to call your attention to something. Do you see how there's an elevation difference here? This is lifted, but this is flopping. Okay, watch. This mini dimensional is fantastic. I'm going to take off that paper backing right here. Now I'm going to lift this and I'm going to have it stuck right here to my tool. It is going to fit perfectly behind here if you take your time, and then we are going to press this down. And now we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to come in with the matte black dots, and I chose one of the big ones. Now these have glue dots on the back, which is fantastic because not only will it stick right here to that mini dimensional, but it's going to stick to the circumference around that die cut opening for that plant hanger, and it's going to look really purposeful. Let's talk about this area here. I did do that for you ahead of time. So I used that same designer series paper. I stamped my greeting. All the words are from the same stamp set. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love this bundle of products, because you don't just get the cool plants, you get the greetings that are going to be able to use all year round. And then once again, I'm going to open up my card to make this easy for my hand. And this is going to come down here, and I'm just looking my best to center it, and we'll press that in place. But do you see this? Do you see how it's split here? Guess what? That means you can see the inside of the card really, really well. So let's work on that part, and let's make that cute too. The cutting dimensions in your project sheet are exact, but I want you to make sure that this is the 4-inch across the bottom. If it's not, and I'm measuring it very carefully here on my grid paper just off camera, because if it's not going to fit, all right? Because this I think is 4 1/4 by 4. Let's add a little stamping. So I'm going back to that cinnamon cider. These images are from the exact same stamp set. Let's go ahead and stamp that little pot here. Look at that little boho pot. Isn't that fantastic? I love, love, love it. I'm going to switch back over to that garden green ink. And this time I chose one of the different plants in that stamp set. This is that 3-leaf. We're going to ink this up and we're going to stamp that here. Photopolymer makes it really easy to see where you're going, which is going to make your life super simple. The other great thing about photopolymer is when you come to do those greetings, because if you're like me and you put the sticker on your red rubber stamps a little crooked, the greeting always comes out backwards, doesn't it? But because the photopolymer turns the color of the ink, you can actually see where you're going, which makes this super duper easy to use. Let's go ahead and add this to the inside of the card, and then I'm going to show you those 6 other cards that I created, 3 of which are fun folds. I think you're really going to enjoy those. And then this is going to go to the inside of our center step card. That's going to go here. Again, looking for that equal margin if I can. And then there we go. Look at this. Isn't this fun? And now when they take a little peek through that slit, there's actually something to look at. A beautiful and fun card and a super easy way to create some real focal statements. Now let me show you those other 6 cards I promised you. Let me put that one off to the side. Now these 6 cards are all part of this month's card making class. I offer a new class that's online every single month. I know, look at this. Isn't this fantastic? This is one of our fun folds. We've got a breakaway panel down here. Yep, lots of fun. And you'll see that I created some curtains here. This is that designer series paper that's on sale. Now, the great thing about my card class is you're going to get a video to walk you through step by step by step with these 6 cards that I'm going to share with you right now. In addition, for those of you that prefer written cutting instructions, I got you covered there, because guess what? You're going to get a 17-page PDF tutorial that's going to walk you step by step on how to assemble it. There are multiple pictures for each card, as well as supplies and cutting dimensions. Going to make it super easy. So that's 2 of the 6 here. Here is number 3. Check that out. Isn't that fun? I know. You're going to absolutely love the 2 fun fold templates that I put inside the tutorial for you as well. My card making class is only available for a 4-day ordering period. It starts today, which is July 14th, and it goes through July 17th, which is Saturday only. You must use my exclusive card making class host code in order to receive the free video and the PDF tutorial. Place your order of at least $50 in product, and all of that is yours. Okay, so we've got 4 so far, and we've got a couple fun folds, but aren't these fun? And guess what? I wanted to point this out to you. This is the designer series paper. So is this. I just fussy cut this one. This is designer paper, but that fits the die. These are so fun and easy to use. If you want your cards to look just like mine, there's a whole list of supplies over at lisastampstudio.com. Click on classes and card making class. I want to show you this. This is one piece. This is not pieced together. I have a template for this one-piece top flip card that you are absolutely going to love. And there is one more. Here's my last card, and I think it's just adorable because it's super simple and that tray is just so trendy right now, isn't it? Remember, you need to use the card making class host code. Your order has to be $50 end product with Lisa's Stamp Studio. My name is Lisa Curcio, and you'll get the video and the PDF tutorial. Now, I want to show you this. This is the 17-page PDF tutorial. As I had mentioned to you, there are pictures, cutting dimension supplies, and templates all ready for you to go. Now, let me turn the camera around. I want to give you some more information about this class, and I want to tell you about the next live that's coming up. Okay, thank you for all your kind words. I hope that you've enjoyed those cards. Such a fun bundle. It is limitless, and you can use it in scrapbooking as well as card making too. Now, for those of you that are interested in just the PDF tutorial, it does not contain the video, but it is available. You can find it over at lisastampstudio.com. Click on Classes, PDF Tutorials, and you'll be able to find this one for the Plentiful Plants there. You'll get all 17 pages. I do charge $1 per page. That is nothing for all the photos and instructions and everything and the templates that you get. Once you buy it right online, it's an immediate download to your computer so you can start crafting right away. The tutorial is available regardless of what country that you live in. If you want the card making class to receive the video and the tutorial for free, guess what? You have to live in the US because I can only take United States orders. That's really important. But my card making class customers also get an added bonus, and that is a private invitation to an event here on YouTube that's called Live with Lisa. Their private invitation is a very personal event where I do numerous live demonstrations. I do product prize giveaways that we call Prize Patrol, and they're going to get 8 additional tutorials of different cards, 2 of which I'll demonstrate, and then all the others are going to have additional inspiration. It is a super fun time. Now, Live with Lisa is also available if you don't want to purchase card class, and it only requires a $25 product order using my monthly host code. The key to my rewards program, which is very extensive and generous, is to use the host code. All that information is over on my website. And when you go over to that website, do me a favor. If you're new and you scroll down about halfway, you're going to get a pop-up to sign up for my free weekly e-newsletter. And you're going to want to do that because I give you another free tutorial that I don't share on my other platforms. Lots of inspiration for you there over at lisastampstudio.com. And I hope that you would join us. Now, I want you to do me a favor too and subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking that little bell icon that's next to the subscribe button and the word all. That's going to ensure that you'll receive notifications or reminders of when I'm going to be live with you next, and you're not going to want to miss Monday. I have something completely different for you, and I have a ton of samples and a real wow to a simple technique that's going to make you go, wow, I never thought of that. And I can't wait to share it with you. I'll be live with you on Monday, which is July 19th at 8 o'clock. That's Eastern time. And I hope that you'll mark your calendar to be here with me. Gina, thanks so much for all your help tonight. It has been a pleasure to have you all join me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great day.